I'm beginning to think it's actually pretty cool that DC will be starting midway through the character arcs. I think the time of origin story after origin story is over. We've all seen the Batman and Superman origin stories at least like 5 times. And unfortunately, since studios like to reboot universes, we never get really deep into the storylines of those two characters. Now let's look at the MCU for example. When the MCU launched, Marvel felt like they had to explain the storyline and origin of every single character. Starting with Tony, the entire first phase of the MCU was origin stories. And honestly, about 50% of the movies since then have still been origin stories. For its time though, this was probably a really good idea. The public really didn't have a good handle on what Iron Man was, and they had no idea who Ant-Man was, for example. But at some point in the last 15 years, the studio spelling out every single aspect of every single character has become a bit tiresome. People will see commercials of who's going to be in the next movie, and they can do research if they want to. Or they can just sit down and watch the film and let it explain to them what they need to know. Think about this. You're perfectly capable of working with the person that sits next to you without knowing their entire origin story. Do you really need to know where Steve from next door used to live? Do you need to know what college he went to or what happened to him as a kid? Or do you just need to know that Steve in the cubicle next door can handle his paperwork? And I think the audience is the same way. The audience can see that Krypto is going to be in the new Superman and can figure out that he's Superman's dog, and that's really all they need to know. They can work together the rest of the backstory. They don't really need to see a 20-minute montage of a dog flying through space in order to meet Superman. While watching Creature Commandos, I didn't know who half of the main cast was, and I was perfectly fine with watching the show. Now, some of the side characters and some of the main characters actually did interest me, and I did my research to see where they came from. And the ones that didn't interest me, I just figured the story told me everything I need to know. And beyond that, we just moved on to the next situation that the Creature Commandos got into. And in that way, the DCU is setting themselves up to get more people interested in their comics. If you want to know more about a character that you briefly saw in the Superman movie, you can do your own research and read an entire comic book line on that character. And that's something really different than the MCU. You never have to do any research on any character shown in the MCU because it's completely spelled out for you. And now as we move on from Creature Commandos and start marching towards Superman, I'm starting to get excited. We're about to see a fully fleshed out DC for the first time. None of that stuff that happened in the first 10 or 12 years. We're about to see all the characters. So bring on the entire Rogues Gallery. Show me all the crazy sidekicks. James Gunn. I think we're all ready. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out those other videos on screen now.